Alright, today we're out in the shop working on this 94 Chevrolet pickup. Short bed, lowered way too much in the front anyways. Taking the roll pan off, and I'm putting a chrome bumper on it because that roll pan is all beat up. Plus I need a place to tow a small trailer, and that seemed like a good place. Also, we'll update you, since I haven't posted anything in such a long time, on what's going on. We've got this car in the shop, which is a 49 Buick Super. No motor. It had a straight 8 in it that was blown up worse than any motor I've seen. It had 2 windows in the side of the block. Pretty cool car. Inside has been completely redone. So it's cool. It'll be getting an LS eventually once we figure out what to do with this massive steering box that's in the way of everything exhaust related. Also, the Impala is up and running. I believe we've rebuilt the engine since the last time you've seen it on video. Running good now. Don't have the turbos hooked up. We're doing something different with the radiator and intercooler setup. So once we get that in there, this car will be back on the road. Also switching it from FI Tech to Holley Terminator fuel management. So hopefully it'll be safer for the new motors. We can set a boost cut and all that good stuff. But it's just sitting here looking pretty. Well, we just got this off. Got a few 1/4" screws. Had some Phillips screws holding it on up there. Had some drywall screws holding it on down here. And don't forget about the zip ties that were holding it in also. So I'm getting ready to pull these off. See what we need to do to get the bumper mounted on there.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if those are rated for this, but alright, roll pan is off. We test fitted the bumper. Turns out you have to raise the bed up, or you're supposed to probably take it off to get it up past this thing. So instead we're gonna use the cherry picker and try to raise it up right in here somewhere, enough to get a board between it and the frame to hold it up while we get the bumper started in there. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we don't knock the truck off the lift. Well, we got them raised up. Didn't have any boards small enough, but we got some body mounts which are out of this, so that'll hold it up enough to be able to slide the bumper straight in here. And then we'll figure out how to get them out later. But now we'll see if we can get the bumper setting up in there. Okay, we test fitting the bumper. Looks kind of goofy because the bed's jacked up, but apparently there's a difference. I'm not a truck guy, so the bumper is hitting the bed. So we're gonna have to trim the bed back, probably right up here somewhere. So that'll tuck in there nice and not look too terrible. Might not look great, but we're gonna pull the bumper back down and get some sort of cutting implement out and cut the bed off. If you're a truck guy and you're worried that we're cutting up a nice bed, don't worry, we're not. These are custom patches here to add some thickness to it. So this side of the bed's all busted, so I don't feel bad about cutting it. I have a fleet side bed that'll go on it as soon as that bed gets painted red. So yeah, we'll pull this bumper back down and chop it off. One side done. Okay, it's been a couple hours. Got the bumper put on. It looks all right. It's not really made for this truck. I assume that there's a difference between a step side and a fleet side, but it'll work for this because, like I said, this bed's only temporary until I get the other one painted. We had to cut out, let's see if you can see that, had to cut this piece of plastic out a little bit more, and then this part of the bed, we cut that and folded it back so that it would slide in far enough. Got it all bolted in with them shiny yellow bolts that are too expensive, and don't mind that there. Got my trailer lights wired up and the ball in the bumper. So I'm gonna put a new muffler on it today because it has a single chamber Flowmaster knockoff, but it's too hot and I've been up for too long, so save that for another day. And we also put a set of spring spacers in the front end just to try to give it up off the bump stops a little bit. So we'll let it down and see what it looks like. Alright, well here's the truck outside. Got the bumper installed. Doesn't look too bad. Got the hitch on there, have tested it. Will pull the boat, no problem. Speaking of boat, that's why we haven't been working on the cars much, because we got some boats and have been at the lake. This is my boat. It's just a little 14-foot fishing boat with a Montgomery Ward Sea King 15 horsepower motor on it that runs pretty good. And Dad bought this boat here, which is a Mach 1 is the make of it. It's a 21 foot. It has a 350 inboard motor, which came out of the Suburban because the motor that was in it was no good. This boat needs some work on the interior and the swim deck, but it runs good and it doesn't leak. Here's the El Camino, just sitting here because it's too hot to drive it. Put these wheels on it. Don't know if I ever showed those. Front ones are dirty, but you can see them better. Since the last video on this, the transmission has been rebuilt, but it's still not quite right, and it has a 411 gear in it with a posi. So it's a lot more fun to drive. We'll try to get some draggy data on it pretty soon when it cools off a little bit, because it's almost 100 degrees and I don't want to drive it. Alright, down here at the other shop to fill in on the rest of the projects. Got the dune buggies in here. We put some windshields in them, and I put a new exhaust on mine. Just a cheap slip-on muffler off of eBay, which sounds pretty good. Dad's buggy, we took it apart, and I think I showed it in a video. It's running like garbage, and it's leaking a bunch of oil out of the pushrod tubes and stuff, but it also has no compression, or very low compression, on 2 of the cylinders, so it probably needs a rebuild before it does much more running. And also the coolest car we've got recently is this, which is a 1949 Buick Super. It's got the original straight 8 in it with the Dynaflow 2-speed. Let me see if I can pop the hood and show you what it looks like. Here's the engine, straight 8 with the 2-barrel carburetor, all original as far as we know. It's got the original fuel pump that's been rebuilt on it, and I'm not sure if it'll start because it's been sitting out here for a few weeks, but we'll try. This one here, just turn the key on, and might not want to start today. There she comes. Everything on this car works. Even the little clock over there is ticking away. It's a little slow. The radio works if you give it a minute. Apparently these old tube radios, they have to warm up. There she comes. just purrs like a kitten. And the plan for this car is to leave it just how it is, other than having the seats redone so that you're not getting all fuzzy when you're riding in them because they're kind of falling apart. And then just cruise it how it is. We've got all the center caps and booty rings to get cleaned up, and then be a pretty sweet little cruiser. And this is the last car on the list. This is the Chevette. A lot of people, well, some people have been asking where it's at, and where it's just sitting back here. No motor, no transmission, because you know those went into the El Camino, which is a much more enjoyable car to drive because I don't really fit in this car after we moved the floor and stuff. Not real sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I may just put a new motor in it and an automatic and make like a drag car, or I may just give up completely. I'm not real sure because there's just no room on the inside. Can't open it because there's no door handle here, but still got all the air suspension on it, and this thing's been sitting for, I don't know, 6 months, and it's still got air in the front suspension. I let all the rear air out before I brought it down here. But yep, that's where the Chevette is for anybody who's asked. We might get back to it one of these days. Alright, that's gonna do it for this video. Just was just a little update video to show you where all the projects are and what's going on at the shop, which is not a whole lot right now. If you've seen anything you want to know more about, let me know in the comments below. Maybe we'll do another video on it. Other than that, we'll just be working on our projects as we get the motivation to do so. But next on the list will be the Impala, so hopefully we'll have a video out on it soon. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment below.